Hi, I'm Clif Christopher. I'm the founder and president of Horizon Stewardship. And today I want to talk to you about the top 3 reasons why it is that Americans choose to give. You know, churches are in the business of doing a mission that requires persons to choose to give to them. And yet it has been my experience that down through the years, no pastor or layperson has ever studied, looked, or tried to shape their appeals around an understanding of why it is that Americans say to us they actually choose to give. Several years ago, I was teaching a number of pastors in Memphis, Tennessee. And I asked that question if they knew the top 3 reasons why Americans give. And there was about 100, 150 pastors in the room, and nobody said a word. A couple of them chimed up with taxes or guilt or obligation. And then it got pretty quiet, and a lady in the back of the room raised her hand. I called on her. She stood up and she said, well, the top 3 reasons why it is that Americans give is a belief in the mission, their regard for staff, and fiscal accountability. And I was stunned, and I applauded her. I said she got the answer right. And then I said, tell me what your name is and what church you serve. And she told me her name, and then she kind of bowed her head sort of sheepishly, and she said, well, I'm actually not a pastor. I kind of just snuck in here when I heard you were going to be talking. I'm the director of Habitat for Humanity. That was such a revelation to me. The head of a significant nonprofit organization knew exactly why Americans give, because for her to succeed in her mission, she needed to be shaping her appeals around that exact same thing. None of the pastors seemed to know. That was a point at which I knew that I needed to be teaching more and more of my clergy colleagues what it is. The number 1 reason why Americans say consistently, and they have down through the years, that they give is their belief in the mission. They believe in what you're doing, and they believe you're doing it well. This is why nonprofits will always have stories of how persons' lives have been changed in their newsletters, in their email blast, on their websites. They're always explaining how they're doing their mission. Churches, on the other hand, tend to put such exciting things on their websites as a picture of the church, because their mission is building church buildings. You know that's not true, and I do too, but that's the message that we tend to send. You can look all through those websites trying to find a compelling story of how a life has been changed because of someone's interaction with that church or Jesus Christ, and not find a single story. Announcement after announcement, worship times, a number of things, but not one story where Jane shares her experience, where Bob and Martha share their experience. It simply doesn't exist. You won't find that on nonprofit websites, because they know that changing lives is the number 1 reason why it is persons choose to give. Now, the second chief reason that, again, nonprofits know, but unfortunately most churches don't, is their regard for staff. What they're saying to us here, it's relationships. The relationships that are built, particularly amongst major donors. Persons with a significant amount to invest want not only to know and feel confident in the mission, but feel extremely confident in the person who's going to be receiving that money and being responsible for seeing that that money goes towards that mission in a way that the donor wants done. This is why you'll find that the president of a college is the chief fundraiser of that college, no matter how many people may be on their development staff. It'll be the head of the Boy Scouts who's the chief fundraiser for that council of Boy Scouts, etc. That's the most responsible, because donors know that that's the person most capable of fulfilling my wishes for life change within that institution. In any church, that person is the lead pastor of that church. And yet in many of our churches, George Barna says, almost 3/4 of them, the lead pastor of a church has no clue as to who the donors even are. They cannot build any relationship around stewardship because they are ignorant of it. They don't know who it is that's making the largest donations. They don't know who it is that's making the most sacrificial, significant donations because they are ignorant and they have to guess. I believe that knowing always beats guessing when it comes to leadership. We have to learn how to build those relationships with our donors just as nonprofits have done. And third and last chief reason that we need to have an understanding of is fiscal responsibility. Nobody likes backing a loser. Everybody wants to back a winner. There's a reason that Alabama football games are always sold out. Their fans love coming to see a winner. There's a reason why, and I won't mention some of those lesser teams, often have empty seats. Their fans don't want to come and see a loser. It just doesn't feel as good. Nobody wants to think that the money that I give is not going to be used well. And this is why nonprofits will always keep talking about how they're doing the mission, where churches are the only nonprofit in the world that continue to believe the more I cry wolf, that's when people will give. I need to help them believe that we're almost broke. I need to cry over the summers about how desperate we are. I need to let them know that things are going down the tube. That doesn't help, it hurts. I've even seen so many instances where churches will place in their bulletins negative information about how far behind they are in the budget. Frankly, 90% of all churches are behind in the budget until they get to December. It's the way they operate. And yet for a visitor or someone looking to make an investment, they see that and it turns them off. It doesn't inspire them to give. It hurts their ability to give. The top three reasons: a belief in the mission, a regard for staff, and fiscal responsibility are things those of us in leadership in the church need to understand.